Hi, everybody. Veronica Cole here. So, we are at the top of the hour right now. It is 6 o'clock Eastern Time, and we are going to get going here in just a couple of minutes and just waiting to see if other people show up. And please just let me know in the comments if you're here. And as I have told you in the previous days, I'm the only one that's visible on here. And I'm also the only one that's speaking. so, so anybody that wants to comment, please do so in the comments below about anything I'm speaking about, something that you may have want more information on, and I will address that in a response back to you after the live ends. But also, if you want this to be private, just DM me as well, and I will get back to you there. If you have anything that you feel that it's problematic, maybe that's what you want to make is private. That's perfectly fine. I understand that. So I'm going to show you the booklet that comes with this particular free 5-day workshop, Moving Through Loss. The only thing that's different on yours is yours will have my picture on it. And today, day 4, we are going to be talking about rituals to ground you and what is circadian rhythm. So we'll be talking about a few other things as well, but that's how we're going to flow into that. And I want everybody to know that at the end of this segment, Amanda will be posting in the comments the homework for this evening, and it's generally a question that you can answer. There are 4 days that we have gone through this, and tomorrow will be 5, and that's the end of the 5-day. And if you have answered all of the questions from each of those 5 day 5 days that we've been through, then one person will be selected to have a book bundle or a gift card of your choice. So I am doing this not because I'm so interested in making sure that you did the homework, although it's really wonderful to know that people have learned and that they have taken that the next level and that they have retained it enough to do the homework. But it's wonderful to also know that you're layering the learning that you're going through by hearing me speak about it and then writing it down in that booklet and then subsequently writing it again and having to process it a little bit in your mind so that then you can further create an embedded process, right? That's how we learn. Now, if anybody remembers flashcards, that's how I got through all of my graduate degree was by flashcards, and I was a stellar high honor student. I had a 4.0, and I know that it was the flashcards that got me through it because I could not remember all the formulas and all the things that I had to do for statistics and a lot of the other things, it was kind of like in my wheelhouse of wanting to know so I could remember them. But when it came to some of that other information, I didn't, and I had a stack of cards like this. I think I counted them one day. It was something like 300 or 400 cards, and I would go through those at different times during the day, and I would just so I could remember everything, and that's how I did it. So I know that repetition is the answer to wanting to retain information. That's how we get to keep it in our memory. So let me see if there's anything else that I want to remind you of. Tomorrow is the last day of the workshop. And as a result of it being the last day of the workshop, I'm hoping that everybody will be able to come on and enjoy that last day because it's always a special time for me, but it's always kind of sad too because I love being on camera and knowing that there are other people that are viewing this. I believe that there were probably, I don't know, like close to 60 views of this particular workshop. And well, from last night anyway, from the other day, from yesterday. And so I know that people are looking at this. I would love it if when people are on here that you would comment, because it helps me to know that the information is flowing and that you're getting the information and that it's happening, right? Because that's why I'm doing this. My purpose of doing the 5-day workshop is because I want to give people a taste of what transformational work is. And this is highly transformational. There is not just one aspect of what I do that is about transformation, but it's all of these things combined. You know, we have to address the body, the mind, and the spirit. And I am a holistic psychotherapist. I am trained in mind body psychology, and I'm a coach with that. And I enjoy the work very much because I find people fascinating. People are fascinating to me because everybody is so different. We're very similar, but yet we're all different. And our experiences, our family lives, even within the same family, one sibling to another will have a totally different experience, which is common and which is quite normal because we are all unique and we are created uniquely as well. And because I believe there is something greater than me in this thing called life, I know that whatever there is has created such beauty on this earth, and that I know that I am a creature of great potential. And the reason I say creature is because there are so many different things that have been created that I believe are divinely inspired. And there's no way that I could have ever created any of these things, like the outdoors. I look at the beautiful trees that are outside. I look at my staircase that was divinely inspired by somebody who could design it and create it. I look at things like my clothing. Everything that is in my life has been divinely inspired for creation. And then, of course, there are human beings. There is the heart. And there are so many things about the body that we still do not know, that science does not still understand. Science can't always explain consciousness, but we have experiences. And my work is all about developing consciousness, or if you'd like to call it awareness, it's about developing awareness so that we can become our best selves, because we will continue to grow in our consciousness until the day we die, unless we decide to stop that. And as I have spoken the previous days, you know, when you experience trauma or when you have had anything that has disrupted your nervous system in such a way that it was traumatic, or that you have experienced a significant loss, or actually, you know, what a person would consider as traumatic is different for each person. So I never say that one trauma is worse than another, because it all depends on our perceptions. But for instance, I had the loss of my two brothers, my adult sibling brothers, 2 months apart. Now, those relationships were both very different for me, but they were both, I was close to both of them. And they were both sudden. And those were definitely disruptive to my immune system and to my nervous system, because I really had a lot of difficulty after that time running through my life in the way that I normally would. And it took me about 6 years, I would say about roughly 6 years, before I really felt like I was in the flow of life again. Also, those actual losses triggered off other losses that I had had when I was very young, but I didn't realize I had been triggered. Now, I was in therapy for about a year before the losses of my brothers occurred. And when I had these losses that were with my two brothers, I started to feel like I don't know why I am not feeling better, more involved with life. Of course, I had to grieve, but grieving was impeded by people around me, including my own family members, because after the funeral, for the most part, people just wanted to get back to their lives, and that's what most people did. I was very fortunate that I had a beautiful friend that just would let me talk and talk and talk, and that's what I needed, and I had a wonderful therapist. But what I really, really wanted to do was identify with other people that had endured a loss. And that was not something that I had. So thank God I had these other people that were able to be there for me emotionally. But my soul was crying to identify with others and how did they feel about losing their adult sibling. Well, after that, that event, which I went through so much of that 6 years seeking and trying to find relief and looking for a way to heal myself. Um, and as I had mentioned previously, I wrote an article on adult sibling loss that a professor published because she said it was wonderful. There was nothing like it. And there had never been any books at that point that were written about sibling losses, in particular adult sibling losses I'm speaking about. There were other losses, but the adult sibling loss was very, very, very undermined by society in general because it has oftentimes been considered an insignificant loss because they're adults. So, and the siblings that are left behind are generally seen as insignificant compared to the parents that might be left behind, or if that particular adult sibling was married and had another family, had a family of their own, or if they were out of the house, or if there was a family disruption and that sibling really wasn't involved with the family anymore. Um, all these variables came into play when it came to adult sibling loss. And let's not forget about the fact that society has a difficult time in general, our society, the Western world in particular, I think the United States, but I've lived in Europe and there's a lot more honoring of your significant others or people that you have loved that have passed on. And it's very significant when you walk into a cemetery. It's unbelievably beautiful. It was no cemetery here that I have ever seen really could compare because I believed in honoring those siblings and I didn't even realize that basically I wasn't even allowed to really have my feelings because there was something that was deep in my collective unconscious. Remember that we talked about that collective unconscious yesterday, which is a collection of all unconscious, not just mine, but all. And the messages that I had from there is that, an adult sibling loss was not something to be highly valued or recognized as the sibling left behind. So, without going to great detail about that, which I could do, I will say that, you know, being a holistic psychotherapist and being invested in healing, this is why I began this workshop because I do workshops for loss, but I was doing them live. And I had done them like 12 years ago. I started them. And then when I was living in Europe, I expanded that. I also wrote a book, only a chapter in that particular book about my situation that got on the bestseller list, and it's also available on Amazon. And then I started to interview other people because I wanted to write about some of these losses that people had endured. And it was significant to me. So I have worked in the military. I have worked with individuals that were healing from PTSD and combat veterans. So I've got a good many years and a kind of long enough time working with people that have endured trauma, and I devised my own way of working through my own healing and trauma with the help of other people and other situations and other practitioners. And I wanted to offer this to other people. And so when the pandemic hit, I developed this particular online workshop because I felt this was the best way for people to get to understand that there is a transformation that is possible, and that we could do this online, and that it would all work for anybody that chose to do this. But you have to choose to do it, right? You have to want to get better. You have to want your healing to happen. So, one thing I want to bring out is that, our attitudes about life, because as we do to one, we do to everybody. So this is really saying that, whatever our attitude is about how we're viewing a particular person or a situation and how we treat another person, it's never just that person that's affected, but that person will take that information either through their hurt or through their anger, and they will act it out, or they will broadcast it to other people. So whatever we do is impacting more than just one person, and it's not just satisfying something within you, like I had talked about yesterday about the different parts of speech and the importance of recognizing that, because we're in a turbulent time in our lives and we need to be aware of who we are and how we are behaving, because healing starts with who we are and where we are at this point in time. Um, there is, with every single wound that we have, there is an equal and opposite healing field. And one of the wounds I'll talk about is shame, because shame, the opposite of shame, is honor. And, you know, feeling the degree of shame, and I have felt shame in my life, and I'm thinking that anybody that is watching this has had a degree of shame in their lives. Well, who likes to feel shame? Because when you feel shame, it's like a wiping out of who you are as a human being. You are invalid. There is no reason for you. You are not significant. And I have felt shame from, I remember an uncle that was very good at being, he was at being shameful with other people, and he did that to me. And I've never forgotten that, because, we do remember how we're treated by other people. And so I remember the people that were very kind to me and that were very loving to me. And their little, what I would consider quirks in their personality, I would overlook, because their general way of behaving was to be kind and loving. That's what I needed growing up as a child. And when I talked about this yesterday, I mentioned the fact that I had a very horrible third grade teacher that paddled me in front of the whole class. And you want to talk about shame and humiliation? Well, that was what it was. And I was a stellar student that became um, really at the bottom of my class for 2 years. And then in the third year, when I was in fifth grade, I started to come out of it by a very loving teacher that I had there. And then by fifth grade, I had a teacher that was acknowledging my writing ability, and she was really broadcasting it to the whole class. And that brought me through a healing. And from there, I started to recognize my own healing abilities as a person, but also in the area of writing and expression. So there are people that can heal us through their words as well as their actions. So nobody likes to feel shame at all. Nobody likes to feel shame. And we have talked about, our conditioned self, and the inner parent in all of us. There is the conditioned self, our wounded child, and then there is the adult, the inner parent in us too, and the inner parent that has the adult wisdom, right? Now, some of us have to learn to reparent ourselves, because for whatever reason, uh, we were lacking in getting some of those things in our early life, but that is possible. And that's where a lot of this internal work can really bring tremendous results to you. Um, Inner parents, the inner parent healing is instrumental because we need that loving inner parent to soothe that wounded inner child. Because the inner parent and the parent in general in your real life, they hold space for you. What does that mean? That means that they're considering you. They're considering you and they're talking about you in positive ways. Um, they love you. They know you are evolving and they want you to evolve. So they're finding different ways to understand you and to speak with you. That's a loving parental relationship. Now, let me tell you that, first of all, this is not about shame basing parents because no parent is perfect. But I am not talking about an abusive situation. That is a whole different situation. But I am talking about a parent that doesn't know better. And, when they know better, when they're healed, they do better. But if they didn't know better and they were doing things because that's what they knew, because their unhealed part of them was placing that on you because you're a little being now. Remember, you're a little child. You're taking in things like a little sponge through the age of 7, pretty much. So, you know, you don't really have much of a choice as to how you're taking it in. And you develop your own perceptions of things. So, you know, we really want to make sure that, the relationship that we have with these parents now, they might not be the best, but we have to have a sort of degree of forgiveness for it because they were doing their best. As long as you can communicate, as long as you can talk. Because I know of some relationships with some parents and their adult children that once they were able to have sit down conversations and have more understanding, there could be more healing. But there is no perfection. So this is not about parent bashing. I just want everybody to know that. Um, Really, a healthy parent is a fierce protector. They will protect you also in situations. Now, they will not allow, the part of you that is wounded to continue to be wounded. Like with what happened to me in school. Now, my mother didn't know anything about this, but I always felt that if my mother would have really, really wondered about why my grades had dropped for those 2+ years and had investigated more, maybe even talking to me more about it, that she might have had some answers. She might not have gotten them from a teacher. I don't know if she had a conversation with the teacher, and I don't know what the teacher would have said anyway. But I really was thinking that this would have been, I would like to have hoped if I had heard of something like this, or if I had seen of something like this with my own daughter, that I would have done everything I could to figure out what was going on. Now, who knows? I'm saying that, but I don't know if I could have gotten to the bottom of anything. So I don't know what my mother did. I forgive her for that. My mother has since passed on. And I never held it against her because first of all, I never felt like this was her situation. I just never, I took it on as Veronica. I didn't express any of this. And so I contained a lot of this disappointment and a lot of this shame myself. Um, because others' needs and priorities in a parent that's not available will often take precedence over the wounded child or over the child. So when a parent is in their own wounds, everybody else becomes more important, like the authorities in the world become more important, which is like a doctor, that would be considered an authority. Maybe a teacher is considered an authority. Maybe an older sibling of theirs would be considered an authority. But those would be the people that a lot of times when wounded older adults living in their wounded self, they will defer to these situations. Um, But then they also, when they're healthier, they want to honor you. They want to honor you for the beautiful little spirit that you are. But if they're wounded in these ways, then they might give the responsibility of honoring to others because they don't get you. So this is when we have to think about honoring ourselves and honoring that wounded inner child. Now, what I generally ask people to do when it comes to their inner child is take a picture of your uh, inner child. I call it your divine child. And take a nice picture that you identify with, is like perhaps it was a moment in your life when you felt happy. It could be any age in terms of roughly 1 to 7. I mean, it could be a little bit older than that, but it's the child within you, right? And put that in a beautiful frame, and put that in an area of your home where you will see it often. And when you go by that picture, have this internal message of I love you. I love you. You are wonderful. You are perfect the way that you are. I am protecting you. And everything is in the positive and it's in the affirmative. You are special to me. You are protected by me. I love you. Just these sort of phrases that you could think, and you can speak them out loud, whatever you choose to do. But the point is to be reminded that this is your inner child, and it's your inner child that you are working on healing, right? So, I think what we're going to do now is a little bit of heart centered breathing. Um, we're going to put our hands over our heart, and we're going to breathe gently, and we're going to do this. This is going to reset the nervous system. So if you're having any sort of anxiety, or if you're having any sort of issues where there's a lot of racing thoughts going on, um, anything like that, we're just going to sit back, and then we're just going to have our hands over our heart, and we're going to do our best to breathe as you close your eyes and get settled, to breathe through your belly so that you can feel your belly extending. If you'd like, you could put one hand on your belly so that you could feel if you're breathing from that area. So just take a deep breath in through your nose and feel your belly rise, and hold it for 3 seconds, and slowly just let the breath fall out. Take a deep breath in, and we'll count to 3. Hold it and release. Take another deep breath in. Hold it and release. Again, feel your belly rise and hold it and release. 2 more times. Breathe in through your nose. Hold it and release. So that should bring a little bit of comfort and a little bit of um, feeling a little more present and a little bit more relaxed. At least that's what I'm hoping. So You could write in the comments maybe what you're feeling. Are you feeling relaxed? Was that okay for you? Were you able to feel your belly rise and fall? Were you able to do that? There's no judgment here because a lot of times people are breathing from their upper part of their body. And what happens when you're breathing up here as opposed to from your belly, you can actually create panic that way. But the way that we did it, it is resetting the nervous system. It's oxygenating your blood and it's helping your whole system to just relax. It's resetting it. Okay. So for the time being, you can be in a more relaxed state. So if anybody wants to comment on that, that would be great. So, circadian rhythm, it is linked to your internal clock. It has an awful lot to do with hormonal production, and it has to do with cell regeneration. So, who would have thought that being aware of your sleeping, being aware of certain times in the evening when you would want to retire could really impact the healing that you have on your entire being and body. And circadian rhythm does just that. Now, you know, long before there was electricity, people would retire. They would, you know, light candles, and but they didn't stay up all night long. And they would retire much earlier than what we would do. But you know, you've probably heard the expression burning the midnight oil. Well, I believe that's where it came from a long time ago before we had electricity. And I was very famous for burning the midnight oil because a lot of times, a lot of my creativity I felt was when the house was quiet, and I could just be with my thoughts and be with my thinking, and I could be very immersed in it. Because I found that it was very difficult for me if people were moving around and if there was anything happening. I don't want any TV on. Sometimes I don't even like the music on because I just want to feel the impact of just me, and that's it, and my creative process. So, what that did to me was I started to get into a very, very bad habit for me. Now, I know some people can do that and they're fine with it. I know that, you know, some people create their best at that time. But if you're not able to actually change your rhythm of sleep really well, because people that work in the evening and through the early morning and then they come home and then they sleep, they have a much more difficult time because they've changed their circadian rhythm pattern. And my understanding with circadian rhythm is that when that pattern is disrupted, it can affect all kinds of things in all of our health systems. So it is connected to your master body clock. And that includes, you know, like when to sleep, when to wake up, when to eat. And there's so much more that it's connected to. We can optimize our energy and help our cells work effectively when we need them to, when we have our circadian rhythm actually really humming and going well, like if we go to bed at a certain time, because there is evidence, and this is all evidence based. By the way, everything I talk about is evidence based, with the exception of talking about spirit, because spirit is such an individual thing for people. So, all of these things that I am talking about, and tomorrow the energy work, it's all evidence based. So, this timely harmony it has a positive effect for our health all the way around, um, because circadian rhythm, or the internal clock, let's talk at the, we can call it the internal clock. It drives the rhythm that we have, in which our genes are turned on and off over 24 hours. Now, that's a big deal, because what does that mean? Well, it means that if we want to keep the body systems in harmony, then we need to pay attention to the fact that our sleeping patterns are very important. Um, certain types of systems will work in certain ways in conjunction. So it is the immune system is really relies upon circadian rhythm to work in the body in different ways throughout the day. So at different times during the day, you will be experiencing a regeneration of certain organs and a certain clearing out. Um, so, for instance, like, bacteria and viruses, um, they are much more likely to impact us when our immune system is lower. That makes sense, right? And immune cells will travel through your tissues, and they will seek invaders when they are healthy. So, you've probably heard that sleep is very restorative. Well, that's absolutely true. And it's very important that we get really good, healthy sleep. Now, that varies for each person. So, for instance, I know that I myself, if I get less than 7 hours of sleep, I am not at my optimum. I found when I was younger that I needed 10 hours of sleep. I could sometimes even sleep longer than that, but that was what I needed to restore. And a lot of times you've probably heard that teenagers require more sleep. And this is why, in some cases, some schools will alter the times that um, kids that are in high school will come into high school, because they need more sleep. They might come in a little bit later and stagger those times for the kids to come in. It's really, really important, because these kids need more time to restore, and they need more time with their circadian rhythm to sync up. Meal times are very important too, because immune cells, move through your gut, and they fight bacteria in your food. So, isn't that amazing to think about that? That immune cells in your gut will fight bacteria in your food. So you really want to be sure that, like, you're, first of all, eating healthy foods, but bacteria can uh, pick up and be a part of your body from all different areas. And it can be from food that hasn't been cleaned properly. Um, there are just so many ways that bacteria can get into the body, aside from the normal bacteria that your gut also produces and has. um, a consistent uh, a consistent way of really ensuring that your body is getting the best that it can get is by getting into a rhythm. And that's why circadian rhythm is called circadian rhythm, because it is about consistency. Now, I know many people, that my daughter included, she was a child that went to the Waldorf school. And the Waldorf education places a lot of importance on the rhythm of the day and the rhythm of sleep, and which is all circadian rhythm. And they have a very difficult, seemingly difficult take on making sure that people are doing this with their children, that they're making sure that they're getting rest, they're making sure that they're getting up at a certain time. And it's not about, controlling, it's about really bringing in that rhythm into the child's life, so that they can be the healthiest that they can be. And so sleep time is very important because it can really, poor sleep can affect cognitive decline. Now that's how you think. And so if you can just imagine, if a child is getting up and they're sleepy because they have gone to bed late, first of all, their body is not getting restorative sleep, number one. And number two, they're not able to think as clearly in school. Now, I know I myself, I have the same type of issue. If I don't get enough sleep, first of all, it takes me longer to wake up. And I can't do much of anything because I'm feeling, my cognitive decline is there. It's very present. I'm not as sharp. You can also, be, cognitive decline can also affect a shorter lifespan. And that's also circadian rhythm. And so we really want to pay so much attention to all of this because our metabolism is affected by sleep as well as this can lead to diabetes and hypertension as people get older. And well, nowadays, young kids are coming down with diabetes, which is just incredible between the sleep, the lack of sleep, the lack of proper nutrition, and the lack of recognizing the need for rhythm in one's life. Most kids nowadays, they will have umpteen things to do after school. They have tons of school activities. They have activities on the weekend. And people are in this mode of thinking that children need to be constantly busy. Well, it's good for children to be busy, but it's not good for children to be overly active and not have quiet time for themselves, quiet time for contemplation, for the sands to settle. And as an adult, I know that if my life is jam packed with things, I have to step back a little bit and I have to regroup. And how I regroup is by having some quiet space for myself. And even if it just means like, organizing flowers or, doing something that is mindful, but that it's not taking me into an area where I'm taxing myself. Um, it's also linked to cardiovascular disease when we don't get enough sleep. Um, and then bigger diseases as well, like breast cancer, sleep disorders. It's important to set your circadian rhythm, to set your clocks, and to be able to bring a lot of restorative sleep to yourself. Um, I think that sleep is one of the easiest things we can do for ourselves to get the right kind of sleep. So now, next, I wanted to talk about grounding. So, grounding is it's one of the most gosh, well, grounding is really about centering ourselves with the earth, and there is a heartbeat to the earth as well. And this heartbeat to the earth it has been proven by NASA. And it's a very important fact for people to understand that that's what grounding can do for you. It can really help you sync up with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And the way that grounding is most effective is in bare feet on the ground. You can do it on wood, um, but it needs to be, you can have a shoe on if it's rubber, but otherwise, it is difficult if you don't have something that could, like that's porous, that could allow that energy to permeate the bottom of your feet. So what we'll do right now, we'll just do a little bit of grounding. And so just take your feet and put them flat on the ground or flat on the area in front of you. And if you have socks on, if it's not too cold, then just take them off so that you can actually feel your feet on the ground. And we're just going to go through very quickly, um, just imagining that there is a root going from the very bottom of your feet, deep, deep, deep into the earth's core, into the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And allow yourself to feel that this energy is flowing through you down into Mother Earth. And then feel the energy from Mother Earth touching your roots and coming back up into your legs, up through your body, up and out like a rain shower over your head. The energy is just flowing over your head. And now it goes back deep through your body, deep into the earth, down your legs, down into the earth, down into the core of Mother Earth. And it's taking the energy of Mother Earth and bringing it back up and through your body and out like a rain shower all around you. And just allow yourself to feel that experience of what grounding is. Now, some people call it earthing, and you can call it earthing. That will also impact your heart. And the heart is the most powerful source of electromagnetic energy in the body. The heart is a very, very powerful muscle. So, grounding and paying attention to circadian rhythm is all evidence based. And by the way, this earth that I'm talking about, the Earth Mother that has a core, is called, what it has been named by NASA, is the Schumann resonance. And this Schumann resonance has been measured. And I believe right now, especially I think during the pandemic, people got very interested in the Schumann resonance. It is very evident, and they do certain ways that they read the degree of Schumann resonance from the earth. And some people are very affected by that. So it's evidence based. So grounding and earthing will impact your inflammatory disease. You know, if you've got an inflammatory disease, this can help reduce stress, and it is also good at reducing levels of cortisol. Now, of course, we don't want all levels of cortisol to be reduced because we'd be puddles of nothing. So because you know you do need a certain degree of cortisol to live, but the point is that we all have a degree of stress in us that is not identified by how we feel. We don't feel it all the time. So this is why doing things that will eliminate or reduce stress in our bodies is critical to our overall health. And this is where meditation comes in, guided imagery, grounding, earthing, yoga, all of those things. That's just a handful of things. Being able to speak, being able to talk, to speak your truth, all of those things are very important for reducing stress, especially the stress that we cannot see. So because we can't see it, because we can't feel it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. There was a very famous runner, I think maybe it was in the 70s, it could have been in the 80s. His name was, I believe, Jim Fixx. And he was known to be this incredible runner, very healthy, eating healthy, all that stuff. He died from a massive coronary, and it was determined that it was from internal stress that he had. And of course, from that time, you know, people started to become more savvy about the impact of stress on our life. And that's why certain exercises were developed, and we started to really become more impacted by the results of what was happening with stress and why we needed to pay attention to it. Because stress is it's a major issue when it comes to our overall health. we need to recognize that. We need to recognize that if we want to move ahead and we want to be, better humans for our families and for ourselves, right? So it also, you know, grounding and earthing can improve your pain markers. So you may not need as much pain medication, or you might not need pain medication if you are doing things that are helping you to be less stressed and you're working on your circadian rhythm, you're getting your restorative sleep, and you're also doing things that will bring you into the present moment, like some mindful things. Like for me, mindfulness is like I love to get flowers, and I have 3 areas in my home with vases, and I will sort them out and I will cut them and clip them and I will organize them. To me, that's very meditative and that's being very present in the now. So you want to do things that will bring you into this state of now. The other thing that will bring you there is like what I talked about yesterday was guided imagery, meditation, that puts you there. Even just being there for 5 minutes in some way in a place that's still and calm, and you're not meditating, but you're just allowing yourself to be still and calm can be enough. Um, oh gosh, I did want to tell you, I think I missed telling you about one of the things that I wanted to mention about earthing too, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway, the point is that all of this is totally, totally relevant to your overall health, and you want this to be something that you take care of on a regular basis. So self-care is it's paramount to all of us living an existence of being fairly healthy, right? And also being better humans for those around us, because when we're feeling better, we can be better with other people when we take care of ourselves. I like to get regular massages. When I was living in Europe, I would get oftentimes 2 a week. And when I was in Germany, it was so common for people to get massages all the time. And they had all of these health facilities and massage therapists everywhere. And it was such a wonderful country to be in because of that alone. And I learned a lot about from living in that culture for a while, as well as Italy. But in particular, the Germans just have a way of really being sure that they take care of themselves. Now, the Italians do take care of themselves as well with healthy food. And they also love to have really good quality clothing. So it didn't matter who I met in Italy, and it seemed like even the taxi driver would just have on very expensive clothing, and you could tell that the quality was real because they will buy one expensive thing to replace, or they don't even replace it. They will not buy clothing that is just not, I would consider, quality or even designer, but it has to be very good quality. And I'm not saying everybody in Italy does that, but in all the areas that I lived in Italy, which is in Aviano, which was near Venice, and then also I lived in Vicenza. So those areas in particular, people just love to dress well. So with very little, they would just buy the best. And I'm an advocate of that. I like that too. So I talked about Schumann resonance, and that was really important because I wanted people to understand that it also the Schumann resonance with the core of the Mother Earth and what I was just talking about, it will increase your intuition. So intuition increases with all of the self-care that you do. So, some people might say, well, can't you be very narcissistic doing all this? No, what you're doing is you're taking care of yourself so that you can be a better human to other people around you, so that you have more energy, so that you can expand more to do greater things for other people, because, we want to be of service to others. So being of service is really important to me, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm being of service to all of you by offering what I am doing here. Um, energy and, energy is anchored in your spirit as well. So we want to be grounded. We want to do things that will help us to be better people. So we can be barefoot when we do these things. We can breathe deeply. Um, we can imagine the roots, like I was just talking about, to know that the roots go deep into the earth. And in case you didn't know, or this might be some interesting energy, thoughts about energy, but trees, we have families, but trees do too, and they nurture and care for each other underground. If a tree is sick, and obviously not everything can be saved, just like humans, but the roots from a faraway tree will come in, and they will be like the mother tree, and they will take care of that sick tree and nurse it back to health. So I'm giving you an abbreviated version of this, but there's obviously more involved with it. You want to, you really want to bring the earth into your life. Every cell in us has its own clock. So if we align our body's internal clock with our schedule, we optimize our energy. And that's what I'm trying to help you understand here. We help ourselves work efficiently, and all of this is evidence based for positive effects. Uh, Again, the internal clock is your circadian rhythm, and our clock drives this circadian rhythm. So our genes are turned on and off over a 24-hour cycle. And so that's the other reason why, sleep is restorative and why we want to pay attention to it. Circadian rhythm helps us feel tired at night, and it energizes us in the morning. So you see the importance of circadian rhythm. And jet lag is circadian clock thrown off its usual rhythm because the sleep is affected and the time zones affect us too. The circadian clock keeps the body systems functioning in perfect harmony. It is the grand conductor. I love that expression, the grand conductor. So you have to think of the internal processes of your physical body as being part of an orchestra. And the orchestra all works together according to the circadian conductor. The circadian conductor directs the right cells to turn on the necessary genes at the correct time. So the example is the liver, pancreas, and gut work together to digest food. Then the kidneys then know to increase filtration of blood and nutrients and absorption. So isn't this amazing? These are our bodies. And, when we understand more, we can do more for ourselves. But these are very, very basic and important things that we can do right now. So before I go, I want to mention very briefly that I have a program that I am offering. And if people are interested in this, they can DM me or they could message below, and I will send them information, or we could hop on to a Zoom call. But the program that I offer is moving through loss, and it's utilizing a lot of these simple methods, but it's taking them to a more ingestible form because we're doing them over a period of time. And as I've said, you don't heal 1, 2, 3, but you heal with consistency over time. The consistency is what's important here. And this program is a 3-month program from every Wednesday night beginning November 9th through Wednesday, January 25th. And it's every Wednesday in that time period. And it is for an hour. And it is it's a program that I developed and I have been running for some time, and I have seen results with people that are monumental because we will be doing some of the work that I have mentioned in some of the days that we've had prior. We will be doing some of the energy work, but there is also a lot of talk, and because I'm a somatic therapist too, that there is a certain way that energy works through people, and when they speak, certain things begin to happen and evolve. And as you evolve with your speech, as you evolve with your understanding and being with others that who are experiencing similar things to what you are, you begin to heal together. And this program is a one on one with me every other week, and then every week for an hour. So, one on one with me is in a session, an individual session, and then we work as a group every other week. I'm sorry, but every week. So it's every Wednesday is the group, that time frame, and then the individual session is every other week, and that's determined when we get together. So if you want to know more about that, please just message me below or DM me, and we will talk. In the meantime, it is that time right now. So I appreciate everybody that's been here. I thank you for hanging in for 4 days. And if you want to watch the replays, you can certainly do that. They will be up until the end of next week, I believe, and then they're coming down. So go ahead and watch the replays. And I hope that you enjoy it. Let me know your comments below, and any questions or anything, know that I am here. I want to respond to people. And if you want to hop on a call with me, a very quick phone call for a complimentary session to talk about what this is all about and what I could do for you further, just let me know. Thank you. Be well. Glad you were here. Bye bye now. See you tomorrow.